Hey guys, welcome to Reddit Brew. You know the drill. We're back at it again with the Reddit stories. So let's jump into it, shall we? My boyfriend kicked out my mother-in-law because of me. Am I in the wrong? A little backstory. Me, age 30, and my boyfriend, nicknamed Bob, also 30, have known each other since kindergarten. We reconnected at the age of 27. During this time, his mother, Mill, for the sake of the story and subreddit, got into a bad car accident. Bob let Mill move in, so she had time to recover and for physical therapy for her knee. She had lost her job a few months before the accident from showing up to work intoxicated. After physical therapy, she claimed she could no longer work and started to get benefits from the state. Bob never charged her rent. I moved in knowing she was going to live there probably until she kicked the can, but I embraced the situation. She is his mother, and I accepted the situation during that time. Honestly, everything was great for the first 3 months. She was cleaning and holding down the house while my boyfriend and I worked full-time jobs. After the 90 days though, I would get up for work in the morning and Mill would be completely intoxicated, rambling about being depressed, how much Bob and her other children don't appreciate her, blaming her ex-husband for everything that's gone wrong in her life, etc. I would listen and try to cheer her up by ensuring her that her kids loved her. A few weeks later, Bob's siblings would come over a lot more for family dinner, game nights, etc. They all warned me about Mill's past drug use, her being an alcoholic, and never being there while they grew up. They all told me terrible stories about being tied up to chairs while she cleaned so they wouldn't make a mess, leaving them in the car for hours while she went inside a friend's house to get high, constantly belittling them, and all around being a terrible mother. One of the siblings even claimed to have PTSD from the mistreatment. They expressed how my boyfriend is too nice of a guy and took her in even though he didn't have to, and they thought it was a bad idea that he did so. So, after that point on, I started to watch her a little more closely. The cleaning of the house and everything just stopped. She stayed in her room 24/7 and lived like a hermit. I started to realize that if we brought home a bottle of alcohol, it would disappear within a week. If friends or family would bring over packs of wine coolers, they would also disappear if there were some left over. Mill also started to smoke pot to help with the pain of her knee, which, whatever, I don't have anything against marijuana. The only thing that bothered me was when I came home early one day and the house reeked like pot. I got upset because I don't want it being smoked in the house. So Bob had a serious talk with Mill about smoking it outside. That was our only request from her. She was getting out of control, was selling her food stamps for money to buy bottles of liquor, and would be trashed almost every day. But it wasn't my place to say something to her. Bob threatened to kick her out and cut her off multiple times in this time frame, hoping it would get through to her that she needs to get a hold of herself. But she continued drinking and being out of control. Shortly after this, Bob's sister had twins, and Mill started getting better about her alcohol abuse. She desperately wanted to be their full-time babysitter, and his sister made sure that Mill was following through with getting sober in order to watch the twins. Despite the horror stories of her being a mother, Mill was actually doing a great job at being a grandma. Well, after a month or two of this, she went right back to stealing alcohol and smoking pot heavily, though Mill claimed she never did it with the babies around. About a month ago, one of the twins were sick. My boyfriend Bob was up and heard one of them crying, so he picked her up and was trying to rock her back to sleep. She continued to scream at the top of her lungs, so I stopped what I was doing, took the baby, and calmed her down. She fell asleep on me, and every time I would get up to hand her back, she woke up screaming again. This went on for an hour and a half. We both worked in the morning, but the poor babe doesn't feel good, and we both didn't mind getting less sleep to make sure the sick baby was okay. Mill had never woken up during the entire crying fit, but we were also just trying to help Mill to get some more sleep. because she was up all day taking care of them. We also wanted to give Bob's sister a break from a sick, cranky baby so she could get a full night's sleep at home in peace. Well, after an hour and a half of caring for the baby, Mill finally comes out of the room, like a bat out of hell, raging at Bob for doing her job, calling him all kinds of awful names, waving her finger in his face, and saying that they are her babies to care for. He's sitting there taking her verbal abuse with a baby in his arms. I got angry, came up behind her and grabbed her shoulders to make her take a step back from towering over him. I asked her to please calm down. She turned around and started to yell at me, calling me a bitch, how I'm worthless, and then shoved me. Bob saw the anger in my eyes, put the baby down, and grabbed me. He knew I was about to tackle her because I saw red and I heard the fight bell in my head. Bob was able to calm me down and sent me to our room. They were screaming at each other in the living room about everything. I called Bob's sister and told her to come get the twins. In the morning, Bob told Mill that she had to go and that he was tired of her crap. He gave her all day until 10 p.m. to figure out a place to go before he got back home, and that she better be gone by then. 2 weeks later, the guy she moved in with dropped all of her stuff off at our door in a laundry basket, rang the doorbell, and left. We went through it and found a crack pipe and her drugs. So, come to find out, the police were called on her and she got taken to a rehab center and was held for 72 hours. After that, she's been homeless, texting Bob, his sister, and me that we're all terrible people, how she plans to unalive herself, don't come to her funeral, etc. I do feel bad, but at the same time, I don't. She keeps threatening me with filing a police report because I put my hands on her. How none of this is her fault, how Bob will see through my bullshit and pick her in the end, and that her son will come back to his mama. I refuse to reply, but this harassment is almost an everyday thing. If it's not me, it's Bob or his sister. I can't help but feel like we're the bad people though, for continuing to let her be homeless. This is a really tough situation to be in. There's a lot of tough calls that you have to make when you're dealing with an addict. But honestly, I don't think OP and Bob and his sister are in the wrong for relieving Mill from their lives. You can't help somebody that doesn't want to help themselves. Mill is an adult and it's her life. OP and her husband have done more than enough already, and she needs professional help. She's also an abuser to her own children. They really don't owe her anything. Don't set yourself on fire to save someone else. You can pull someone out of the river as many times as you want, but if they keep jumping back in, then that's on them, and all that jazz. I say this because I am very familiar with this, and my family was in a very similar situation. I had an uncle who was a lot like Mill. He was a substance abuser who used everybody and loved to play the victim. He was sober for a year and a half before he passed away, and even while sober, he was still extremely entitled and seemed to have zero conscience. So yes, addictions can make people unwillingly act like monsters, but also some people are just entitled victim players no matter what, and it's up to you to make that call. I'm actually currently writing a story involving him. I'm going away for a week in July, so I decided to read a few of my personal stories for you guys so I can post them while I'm away. So look forward to that. The Reddit Brew Entitled Family Saga. The Entitled House of Brew, if you will. But anyway, that is all from me today. I hope you got some value out of this Just No Mail story. Please leave a like and subscribe if you want. I truly appreciate when you do, and I will see you in the next Reddit story. Bye! Hi! Okay. I'll see you later.